Hi guys, thank you very much for joining us in our webinar today. Today we'll be talking with, we'll have our guest speaker, Anamika Arun from the Brand Tribe, and we'll be talking about the growth strategies for your e-commerce business in 2022. So, e-commerce is always changing. We have a lot of clients who are e-commerce businesses, and the misconception is just because you have e-commerce doesn't necessarily mean it's easier to market your business, given the fact that you're not brick and mortar. Things are always changing, such as algorithms on paid ads. The Apple update has really affected people who are using Instagram to sell their products. And so I'm really pleased to have Anamika join us today. So Anamika is the founder of the Brand Tribe, and we all are trying as entrepreneurs to build a tribe, and I'm sure she's very good at helping us do that. She's got lots of really good experience. She's worked for Saatchi & Saatchi, for example. Her background, her knowledge speaks for itself. She's done a little bit of work for us, and we hope to work with her next year. So without further ado, Anamika, I'll let you introduce yourself, and we look forward to hearing your presentation.
Thank you so much, Rehan, for the lovely introduction. And as you rightly said, we are working towards making a tribe. And that's what you are doing through these webinars, bringing us together, creating a forum for cumulative learning and understanding. So thanks, Rehan, for that. And you also mentioned, very rightly so, that just because a platform is created through e-commerce, people are not flocking to it. So let's have a look. I'll start sharing my screen of what we are going to talk about today, which is the e-commerce marketing trends for the next year. I know it's a busy, many of you are business owners or marketers, and you are working on making your business grow. And you're very well aware how fast evolving this category is, how much it is growing globally, and what the growth statistics are showcasing for the UAE market as well. It is one category which is constantly evolving and adapting to challenges of technology, challenges of changing consumer behavior, and the economy as it is changing. We have seen the impact of pandemic all over the world, but e-commerce is one place which has seen it a bit differently. In fact, the pandemic has accelerated the growth because it has pushed people out of their comfort zone. It has made people adapt from physical to online. They might be reluctant at first, but now as they try the products, they are liking the journey. They are enjoying the experience. In UAE itself, the growth rate is expected to be 23% on year-on-year basis. So if it's so good, then what's the challenge? The challenge is that with these growing numbers comes a lot of competition. Think about, you need to order grocery. How many options you have? How many apps? How many websites come to your mind? That's the challenge. You have to fight for the consumer's attention, and that can only happen when you stay relevant and ahead of the curve by technological advancements in your strategy. So let's have a look at some of the trends that's going to be in focus, not just for 2022, but going forward, and how we can capitalize on them. As any marketing person, you would understand the importance of being customer-centric. Jeff Bezos has said, and we all know it, that our focus, if it is on the customer, then the growth is definitely there. And all the trends that you're going to see today will have that common thread. They are all working to make the experience better for the customer. First one is the increase in the power of social commerce, which is going to be a huge one. You know what is e-commerce? A digital platform, an online platform created for buying and selling. And you know what is social media? Which is definitely a habit that more and more people are engaging on every single day. Even brands are using it for building awareness and engaging. It's when you combine these two things, e-commerce and social media, to create the power of social commerce. So what is social commerce? And how is it different from social media? Social commerce is basically when you use these social media platforms like Facebook, like Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and many more to discover the brand, to engage and find more information about it, and ultimately to convert it, to buy it right from the app itself, and not being redirected to an online or a physical store. So the whole cycle is getting completed within that platform itself. That's the power of social commerce. And why is that happening so much? Because as consumers, we are using different ways of consuming information. Unlike only Google for searching for information, people are using YouTube for searching hacks, life hacks, recipes, tips, ideas, everything. They're using Facebook and Instagram for searching for products and brands. So basically, social media is another discovery engine. So for a marketer, it's very important to understand to use these channels not just for building awareness, but also for conversion. The numbers are growing, as you can see in the graph. And best part is that these platforms itself are evolving every single day, making themselves better with added features to facilitate this growth. You see Facebook Shop, Instagram Shop, and now TikTok is partnering with one of the biggest players, Shopify. All of these are indicators of the growth in this industry, in this category. So as a marketer, use this to capitalize on reaching out and using the platforms as a conversion tool and not just as an awareness tool. You know why people enjoy it even more? Because unlike a website where it is more one-way communication, you reach, you discover, you buy, with social media, it becomes a two-way conversation. So it's much more interactive. So how can you use this power to build your brand? There are a few tips that you can use to enhance the social commerce experience. And that is to use the channel like a complete marketing channel. And for that, the first step is to captivate the audience, to catch their attention. And like we know, social media is such a visual medium, and it's also a very, very cluttered platform. So to break, the deal breaker here is amazing pictures and product videos. Get their attention. Try and onboard them with a low entry price point. Let them try your products. Secondly, just like any e-commerce channel, for social commerce also, you should optimize your product feed with right product descriptions, image optimizations, all of it. There's nothing worse than customers searching for something on your social media and then realizing the price is different on your website. Don't do that. Ensure there is a seamless experience. You will know that fewer number of clicks is equal to higher sales. So try and reduce these friction points between the consumer and the product by providing maximum information to them within the app itself, which aids their conversion. Another feature that we are going to see a lot going forward is live shopping. Now, live shopping is not new. It's been there in US through live shopping on TV for a long time. But now with the social media's inbuilt streaming features, that's also going to grow. Use that as an opportunity. And lastly, use all the features that an app provides to create a unique experience, like customized storefront, your own kind of visuals, fonts, just like you would do for a store. Also use the in-app customer support, like a Facebook Messenger or a WhatsApp, to ensure that there is a seamless experience. Now, this is a word that I would be using a lot in the next thing that I'm going to talk about, which is omni-channel marketing. That's another trend that we need to be aware of and to bring it in our marketing strategy. What is omni-channel? It basically is to create a consistent brand experience and also a seamless one across all the channels that you have created between you and the customer. After all, nobody is buying it at the first go. A customer only buys when they see a product or service multiple times. So ensure it's consistent. So like a traditional marketing would be a shop and a customer. E-commerce would be an online store and a customer. And multi-channel would be a combination of these and many more marketing tools like social media, SMS, and things like that. But they are all fragmented. In omni-channel, we integrate all these channels to create a consistent experience, which is very, very customer-centric. Let me share an example with you. So here we have our customer, Lisa. She sees an ad on Facebook. An ad pops up of a dress. She likes it. She clicks on it and she reaches the online store. Great, she's browsing, she likes stuff. She selects something, but the size is not there. And that's when the live chat comes in. It asks to help her find her preference, finds her location, and suggests that the right size that she's looking is available at a store near her. And by asking her, they offer to reserve it at the physical store. Lisa is happy. She goes to the store 2 days later to find the dress that she wanted. She picks it up. It doesn't end there. Once she is a satisfied customer, she takes a picture of herself in the dress and goes back to the Facebook and posts it as a review. So you see, the whole channel is completed right from where it started. And each channel is providing a seamless experience. At no point they are letting her drop out. They are aiding her conversion by working towards the next channel. That's what a omni-channel brand experience is all about. So how can you ensure that there is a good omni-channel experience? That's by integrating your online, your offline, and everything to give a perfect customer support and experience. Now, moving to the third point, which when we are talking about customer experience, is artificial intelligence. We are all seeing it every single day, all around us. It's evolving. And that's a tool that we have to use for better predictions, better recommendations, and better customer experiences. Don't we like to try a product, but when we are doing an online thing, we still have the option. The color of the wall, the sofa that we want to buy, anything and everything. If we get a virtual experience of it, it just makes the process easier. It aids conversion and it also adds to the customer buying experience. So definitely, as a marketer, you can use that tool to enhance that experience. Other than that, what we have been talking about, the customer support and the chatbots across all channels can be hugely assisted with virtual assistants. They reduce your operational cost. They also ensure better engagement. Next is something that I personally love, which is intelligent product recommendations. So while browsing on any channel, when we see recommendations which are more suited to us based on our past shopping behavior, then definitely we tend to purchase more accurately, and maybe the brand is able to upsell products also when they suggest supplementary products. For example, I'm buying some rice, risotto rice, and a mushroom suggestion comes in to make mushroom risotto. Why not? Yeah. So it helps. A dress, matching shoes, matching bag. Definitely, somebody is helping me suggest. And lastly, personalizations. Based on all of this, knowing your target audience, having the data to analyze, to find their location, their preferences, their touch points. The artificial intelligence helps in creating better campaigns, ad campaigns for your digital marketing, which is far more structured and more targeted than any other. So you are reducing your advertising cost by reaching out in a more structured manner. Fourth trend that we are going to see grow definitely is about UGC, or user generated content. We have seen the growth of social commerce. We are seeing it grow. So with that comes the growth in social proof. Now, what do we mean by social proof? All the reviews, all the recommendations that we see is basically a social proof of a brand, that it is being loved by so many other people. Don't we like to read reviews before trying any product? We do, right? On Noon, Amazon, Zomato, everywhere. But when we do it on social media, it's far more engaging because there is video content, there is unboxing videos, there are reels, there are photos, there are stories. There is more live testimonial to how the product looked and it felt like, and it just makes it so much more engaging. In fact, study shows that a customer is 6 times more likely to purchase a product if the page includes pictures from social media. This is such a visual and actionable proof that we need to use as an e-commerce strategy. And if you see the cycle here, and in the example we shared, the trigger and the review is interconnected. Somebody else's review can become a trigger for the next customer. So use your customer base as a sales force for next set of customers. Ensure that they are tagging and liking you. And lastly, the trend that is going to grow further and further is the voice search or voice commerce. More and more people are interacting with their devices differently. They are using it to find answers, find directions, find shops. And why are they doing so? Because everybody is pressed for time and they like to multitask. So voice commerce and voice search is helping us to achieve that at a faster pace. It's going to grow by 55% in 2022. These are huge numbers. And that's coming with the aid of some of the best virtual assistants that's coming our way, and shopping assistants like Amazon Echo, Google Duplex. All of these are going to flourish and help us shop better, search better. So businesses need to use voice assistants to accept the orders. But what about voice search optimization? So yes, you know about SEO. Your website might be best suited for SEO, but is it optimized for voice? Maybe not. So this is the time to take control of that and ensure that your website is optimized for voice search as well. One of the basic difference that you have to see here is that the way you type versus the way you talk. The same difference applies to SEO and voice search optimization. So if I have to find a restaurant, I will just type Italian restaurant Jumeirah. But if I have to search it through a voice, I will say which is the best Italian restaurant in Jumeirah. This difference in the short tail keywords and the long keywords is the difference that we need to be aware of and start using in our SEO strategy. Use long tail keywords and use conversational and more natural language. Because when we talk in a more natural style. It is filled with why, how, what, when, and all of these keywords should be utilized. Most of the voice search happens with a local intent. 46% searches so far have local intent. That means, especially when people are driving and they need to find a place or a store, they use it. So stay relevant on that factor as well. Update your Google My Business page and all the local listings with your search address and phone numbers so that you stay updated in this voice search. Another feature that you can add in your FAQs is to create a directory listing where every question that you are expecting an answer to is answered in a short form. For example, when will the shop be open? Timings of the shop. So instead of 9 to 5 p.m., give a detailed answer. Instead of return policy, put a question for the return policy. So like that, if you break down your FAQs, your content will be better optimized. And lastly, the whole intent of voice search is to get the results faster. So if your website is not loading fast enough, then there's something wrong. You are not optimized enough for your voice search or any kind of SEO. So ensure that you are doing it right. So I hope with these kind of strategies, you are working towards your e-commerce in a much more stronger way. Thank you so much. I hope it gave you some insights on what the future trends are going to be. And with this, I will stop sharing my screen.
Thank you very much, Anamika. That was really insightful. Some of the things that you mentioned about AI, voice search, obviously a lot of these things will continue to evolve in the e-commerce, marketing landscape. I mean, one thing I was impressed was I recently booked my ADIB bank appointment via WhatsApp and everything was completely automated. So when I clicked on the WhatsApp button, it asked me which branch, which location, which time, and it just booked me in and I did my appointment there and then. And that got me thinking about my customer experience as well. So whenever we get new clients coming on board for our website, maybe we should also have these automation tools as well, where we can automatically book appointments or consultations for some of our prospective clients as well. I'm B2B, obviously, but today's topic is about B2C. So super useful, super insightful in terms of some of the things that you've touched upon. I think now's the time to do Q&A. So the attendees who've joined, more than happy for you guys to type or even talk about, if you want to speak and if you want to, ask any questions for Anamika, feel free. What I've done is I'm allowing everyone to talk. So, the floor is yours. So yeah, go for it, guys.
Also to add to Rayan, I have also had similar experiences of automation. It always throws you by surprise and it always brings a smile on your face. Yeah. But the reverse is also true, where I was talking about omni-channel, and I have had experiences where the online and offline are not entertaining each other. They are not entertaining the customer in the same way because they are targeting you as an offline customer or an online customer, where I am the brand customer. So that kind of integration is also very important, which as a part of e-commerce strategy, I personally feel.
No, thanks for that. We've got our first question from Kishore. He's asking, which channels are you seeing the best sales conversion from?
So definitely the idea is not to put it all in the one basket, but to see how the growth is coming for your individual business, because there is no single bullet for all. And as I covered in detail, social commerce, social channels are going to see a huge potential in growth rate. Vis-a-vis the last 2 years, it's going to grow further, especially as the UAE is opening up to a lot of more features and facilities in these social channels.
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, obviously we have a lot of clients who are e-commerce businesses. I would say a large majority of them are, active on Instagram, Facebook, and they tend to do a lot of ads on those platforms. Obviously, with the algorithm changes, with a lot of changes with the Apple privacy settings and stuff, updates, obviously that's reduced the ability to monetize off the back of that. But that's where we see traditional, e-commerce businesses growing. I think next year is going to be a bit more challenging. Obviously, there needs to be new ways to, unlock sales and growth. As you mentioned, Anamika, about TikTok, I think TikTok is going to be an important theme. But also, we're also seeing a lot of brands not just going online, they're going brick and mortar as well. So sometimes we have a few boutique stores which are opened up once the e-commerce brand has been quite successful. And then sometimes it's consignment as well. So it goes full circle, you know. Sometimes you start off as an e-commerce brand and you go to brick and mortar. And sometimes the opposite is true. You know, you may be a brick and mortar, but you want to go online as well. So yeah.
So I think there's another question.
Any more questions?
They want to know about, sure, about the services that we can take it offline, and definitely we'll answer those questions. I would also love to know from any one of you, if you want to share your point of view about the e-commerce business and how it's growing and how you as a marketer are looking at making it grow. If anybody wants to share.
You can unmute and you can ask the questions live if you want.
Hey, Anamika. Hey, Rian. Great presentation, Anamika. I missed only the last 5 minutes, but the rest of it was really fantastic with the points and everything. Quick question, when you talk about e-commerce website and if you compare it to platforms that are available like Amazon or any other marketplaces, what do you feel is the major difference and why people should opt for an e-commerce website over them?
You are saying about creating their own individual channel versus being a part of a marketplace.
Correct.
Yes. So I guess that flows from the core of your business. If your business is a product which needs to be catered to a wider audience through Amazon and Noon, then definitely so. But if you want to create a niche for yourself, so most of the times I would suggest that going for a combination of both, having your individual presence and also being a part of a marketplace to reach out to a wider audience helps. And in that, identifying which marketplace is good for you is definitely a strategic call. For example, a fashion brand, a niche fashion brand will not be on Amazon. They will rather be on Namshi or something better than that. So it all boils down to your audience, where they are present. You need to be present there. I hope that addresses it.
Yep. Thank you.
Adnan, you're also a marketeer. Feel free to give your insights and your, what you see next year as well, if you would like.
My thanks. I probably had a question first, which would be interesting. I put it on the Q&A, but Anamika, so basically, if let's just say there's a company that's starting out newly into e-commerce, would you recommend influencer marketing as part of the strategy initially, or do you think that's something they should look at later on? So that's just my question first.
So Adnan, this is actually a very nice question because influencer marketing is seen as a very growing trend, and it seems like you get a lot of support from it. But actually, I would personally recommend to do it at a later stage than initial, because initially there might be a lot of hype, but it will not stand true if your product is not able to deliver and your platforms are not sustainable enough. So go for the enough testing. Because as an e-commerce marketer, you will see that a lot of evolution happens, especially in the initial few years. Your platform has to be tested, your integration has to be right, everything is right. So give yourself enough time to stabilize and then to collaborate with an influencer marketing, because else if your product or your platform or there is any technical and logistical issues, then you are missing out the opportunities that you have created with the influencers. So do it when you are high.
Makes sense. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Anupam, would you like to share something?
Yeah, Anamika, I think so. You're bang on point. My viewpoint is for a bit of future, like couple of new things which have come from, let's say, the Facebook metaverse kind of thing, which is coming also in the future. That might also augment the whole customer journey to a different level of buying things. Right now, I feel TikTok is a great medium for smaller items, but it's still a very time-taking medium also. To be honest, it's the 40 seconds is also a very time-taking kind of thing. And it is not doing a kind of search thing. It is inducing some kind of like, okay, I saw that, I wanted to buy that. That kind of idea is coming from TikTok. But the other platforms are more search-based, that whatever you required on a day-to-day basis, or you were trying to figure out what product could fit my need, and then you had the chance to search. So there's a difference between how the things are growing right now. I mean, my viewpoint is like social marketing is kind of a push marketing, that, okay, I have something and I am showing you, while the larger commerce space would be, I need something and I want to search something, that kind of thing. So there will be kind of what you can say, push and pull activities through and through. But I think so. It was a great presentation from your end. I think so. You covered a lot more things. I also was not so aware of the S-commerce part of it. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. There is no single strategy that we can work on. The idea is to stay aware of what's happening in the landscape of e-commerce and marketing, and especially our market. Every country is unique. These customers are unique. So we have to stay relevant to them. And by being aware of these kinds of trends, I think it will help to plan ahead for our e-commerce strategy.
Absolutely. I mean, digital marketing strategy now, every sensible organization has to take very well a deep breath, because now there are so many avenues to spend also. So if you are not strategizing very properly what your product is, what target market it is going to reach out, etc., then it would be a lot of wastage. So I think so a pre-consultation and a proper strategic approach doesn't hurt at all. Actually, it can do wonders before spending mindless money.
Thank you very much for that, Anupam. Are there any other questions? Raju, you've kindly joined us. I'm going to put a bit of a curveball. So we've been talking about marketing all this time, but we haven't really spoken about the logistics side. So maybe you want to give a little bit of insights in terms of your industry, because obviously e-commerce is all about buying products from overseas, selling it in the market. You know, if you're there, I mean, what kind of things?
Yeah, I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I just joined rather late, almost at the tag end of the, the presentation. Had a little bit of a problem. What the objective of this platform is to optimize the best platform to launch your products, or the best available solution that you have at the moment in the market. But my subject is completely different, though related to the delivery part of it. I've come at the fag end of it. Now, which comes first, the horse or the carriage? Before somebody launches this entire objective of which platform to choose from and how to start distributing e-commerce base, I would like to know whether it is feasible at all in the first place or not. That largely depends upon the product itself. Anupam, for example, came to me and said, hey, I've got a customer who needs to use e-platform to distribute furniture. Now, when you say furniture, it's a very generic term. It's a sofa, it's a cupboard, or a desktop, or an office workstation, or whatever. Now, how can you deliver it on an e-commerce platform when the delivery cost will be so prohibitive? If you look at the dimensions, the weight, and the physicalities of the product itself. It's not that every product that you are distributing or marketing or trying to market through e-commerce is easy to handle, half a kilo, a small pouch, etc. You need to factor those information before you launch into what sort of media you will be choosing from. Do I make any sense so far?
Yeah.
Now, a 3,000 dirhams product packed in a box, if it is going to take about 1,500 dirhams for delivery through e-commerce, it makes no sense. Whereas through a brick and mortar system, it could just be delivered at 800 dirhams, for example. So you need to decide based on your product itself before you launch into your marketing. That's where I come from, because I'm in the distribution business. I'm here to offer my delivery systems, for example, Amazon or Souq.com or Noon or DHL. They come to me and say, hey, can you please deliver it for me? you're using their platform to sell your product. And then once it is sold, I come into the picture of delivering the products under the broad umbrella. That's where I fit in. So I come at a much secondary level. So therefore, I do not know how relevant would my comments be in this particular seminar or webinar. I don't know.
I think you come up with a really important point, and that point is sometimes you got to take a few steps back to go a few steps forward, right? And taking a few steps back, it involves looking at your actual product. And you may not be selling, but maybe because, as you rightly pointed out, if you're selling a sofa, for example, and the delivery costs are too high, then
not only the delivery cost. Forgive my interruption. This morning after the BNI conference, Anupam introduced me to another customer who has invested huge bits of money and brought in a heck of a lot of inventory and started paying money to store it in the free zone. And he is asking me to deliver on an e-commerce platform. Little did he realize the entire project has gone up in smoke because he can't sell a single dollar worth of products with his existing licensing arrangements, with his existing business arrangements, because e-commerce cannot be sold from a free zone. Neither Amazon nor Yahoo nor anybody would be able to pick it up from the free zone because it is prohibited. So you need to really take 2 steps back to strategize the legalities, understand the pros and cons, feasibilities and non-feasibilities before you launch your money into an investment and not burn a hole in your pocket and end up changing your business strategy. Instead of selling it to a carpenter, you sell it to an electrician because you cannot sell it to a carpenter. So this company is stuck with a huge bit of about nearly $800,000 worth of product sitting in the free zone in Jebel Ali, not knowing how to distribute. Now he has to change the entire business strategy from e-commerce to brick and mortar. So that's where I come from. I'm not here to, pull the rug off your feet.
No, that's the whole point, that we need to stay relevant and we need to stay aware of the changes which are happening. Every few months, there will be an evolution in the technology and in the consumer behavior as well, aided with the logistical issues. So we have to adapt.
Your technology and your IT has to be in conformity with the rules, regulation, and the obligation of the land on which you're operating this business.
Right.
You have to be compliant.
100%.
That is my take.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, thank you very much, Raju, for your valuable insights. Obviously, our viewers got the benefits, not only in marketing, but logistics as well. So they got 2 for the price of 1. Thank you very much. I can't see any more questions coming up. So I think we'll probably wrap it up now. Any closing thoughts from you, Anamika, and how can people find you and reach you?
Yes, I can share my website in the chat bar if they want to see, thebrandtribe.com, and by the same name on LinkedIn. These are the 2 best places to connect with me.
Yeah.
And I would be happy to assist you because we are catering to a wide variety of services from the marketing domain, right from branding to social media to website design. So we'll be happy to help you in any possible way.
No, that's great. That's great. Cool. Guys, thank you very much for joining us today. We have been recording this session, so we'll be sharing it with you guys in the next 48 hours. And enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you very much.
Thanks for joining in, and thanks, Rehan, for hosting.
Have
a nice day. Bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye.